In response to the overall conversation of Donald Trump wanting to take over Panama, Greenland, Canada, and Mexico, this person here says, "This may be the dumbest thing I've listened to all day. You can't see the bigger picture living in your mom basement. It's actually a brilliant move if he can pull it off." I don't know what the obsession is with the mom's basement. It's just a juvenile, idiotic, knee-jerk response to something that is dumb as fuck, but are desperately trying to legitimatize for some reason. The bigger picture here is this. You voted for a fascist who now wants to go to war with a minimum of 2, possibly 4 of our allies, because he wants to be known as the last president to expand the American physical footprint, something that hasn't happened in nearly 70 years. He's talked about it. How America hasn't expanded its footprint in nearly 7 decades. He wants to be that guy. See, Trump isn't about doing anything that's necessarily good or decent or helps the American people. He's all about branding, right? He doesn't give a fuck if Mexicans get into the country. He just wants the wall to say he built the wall. That's his Great Wall of China. Just like he likes to slap his name on top of fucking shitty buildings across the world, this is another attempt at that. It's an attempt to sort of rewrite the history books, right? Instead of the history books 100 years from now saying that Donald Trump was the only president to be twice impeached and be indicted for federal crimes post-election and be a convicted felon, he wants the history books to say Donald Trump was the president that last expanded the physical footprint. He adores authoritarian figures like Putin, like the Mustache Man in Germany, like Little Rocket Man in North Korea. And where all of them have failed, he thinks he's going to succeed. Where all of them have tried and failed to consolidate an entire continent into one country that they rule, he thinks he's actually going to succeed in it. He's already talked about, or his transition team has already talked about, a soft invasion of Mexico. He already has the Mexican administration clapping back at him, reminding him that they're a sovereign nation. He has ruled out using military force on Panama and Greenland in order to absorb the Panama Canal and the nation of Greenland. And he will not shut the fuck up about absorbing Canada and making it our 51st state. Something that's never going to fucking happen. They're a sovereign nation. We would have to go to war with NATO in order to make that happen. The other NATO nations, just understand this. If he used military force against these countries, the other NATO nations would have no choice but to live up to their treaties and protect those nations through joint unilateral military action against us. We would literally start a world war with all of our allies. I want you to think about that for a minute, okay? You guys went from, we need to vote for Trump because he's the peace in our time guy, and there were no new wars under his administration, and if we keep the Democrats in, they're going to march us right into a World War III, to a guy who now is openly saying we might have to use military force against Panama and Greenland, possibly Canada and Mexico, which would necessitate World War III with all of our allies. There's the bigger picture for you. That's the part you're missing. I understand that the Panama Canal plays an important role for our nation's security and our nation's navy to be able to get through there. I understand that Canada and Greenland are rich with natural resources, specifically some natural resources that one Mr. Elon Musk would like to get his hands on in Canada. And I understand that if we could destabilize parts of NATO and take over our allies, take over friendly countries that have never done anything, as a matter of fact, take over countries like Canada that have literally fought side by side with us in every war we have ever been in, that helps the destabilization of NATO, which helps Russia and China expand their empires. There's your bigger picture. Maybe you should stop and think about that for a little bit before you go along with these idiotic plans that are only going to hurt, never going to help, and never actually going to come to fruition.